Hi everyone, I hope you are all having a great day today. If you are new to my channel, welcome. It's nice to see you stop by, and if you are a returning user and you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back and seeing one of my videos yet again. I'm going to start by just, putting a disclaimer out that this is not a tutorial. So this is my first video where I'm truly just talking about Excel related items and not really sharing my screen or walking you through a tutorial. So just want to put that out there that this is not a tutorial in any way. It's just me sharing things that obviously I wish someone told me before learning Excel. So if you are interested in learning about that, we will go ahead and get right into it. I will also be kind of going off my list on my phone just so I don't get off track. So if I'm looking down, I'm not texting someone while I'm making this video. I'm just trying to stay on track for you. So the first thing is to think of Excel as a blank canvas. I know when I first started, I felt like, I needed to understand 1,000 different rules on how to use Excel, what formula to use when, and over the years, I've, kind of obviously dove into Excel and learned more and more about it. I've really started to change my mindset towards it. Excel is not a one-size-fits-all platform. You can do a ton of different things and get to the same result in multiple different ways. So I wish that was something that someone told me, is that, let's say, for example, you have to build some sort of like report for someone. If you have 5 people building that same report, you guys are probably all going to approach it very differently and still get to the same end result. So maybe the formatting is different, and maybe the formulas used are different, but ultimately, how you go about achieving that goal is based on whatever formulas you want to use, whatever formatting you like to use, and things like that. So just understanding that there are a lot of ways to do the same thing and to truly look at a new Excel workbook as a blank canvas, and kind of how whatever goal you're trying to achieve is up to your interpretation and your skill set really just helped me look at it as a place of opportunity and not kind of making it feel so much as like, okay, there's 1,000 rules I need to follow, because there really aren't. If you're kind of in Excel and you have a boss that's telling you how to do something, if they don't care how you do it, there are a plethora of different ways to achieve that goal in Excel, which is awesome because you don't have to, memorize, okay, I need to do this step and then this step and this step. You can kind of figure out what works for you, what kind of steps you like to take more than others, and, do whatever you feel like is best to reach that goal. So like I said, just try to look at Excel as a blank canvas with endless opportunity. The next thing I want to talk about are formula errors. So when I first started Excel, I remember, because I was taking on reports, because I used to just update reports and things like that. That was my first job I got when I started Excel. And I would get all these formula errors and I would stress out all the time. And I'm like, how do you know like where the issue is? And it took me a really long time to kind of understand how formula errors work. So when you're getting the NA or you're getting some sort of, formula error that's populating in whatever cell, is supposed to be showing some sort of result, I would always just freak out because I'm like, Excel isn't telling me where the issue is. Like, it's so unfair. I'm trying to dig through, 20 tabs on my Excel and I don't understand where this issue is. Well, the moment I remember going through one of my reports, and the moment I had this epiphany was when I was spending hours trying to figure out this formula error, and one of my mentors was not available, and I was like, I am just so frustrated. How do you know where the errors were? Because when I initially started Excel, I would literally look through every single tab, in a report, because I'm like, okay, I guess something's broken in the report. I don't know what it is. And it took me a long time to understand if there is a formula error, and you're obviously getting that from whatever formula you placed in that cell, the error is going to be limited to the cells that are being referenced in the formula. So in a lot of ways, let's say you have a formula that's referencing, like, for example, tab 1, 2, and 3. You don't need to look at all the other tabs on your report. You're only going to look at tab 1, 2, and 3, and you're literally going to go through a process of elimination to determine what the issue is. Another thing, just kind of to touch on errors that helped me really understand how Excel works is, your issue with your formula could be as simple as an extra space. It could be something like you're formatting, you're pulling numbers, and one of them isn't a number, right? It's stuff like that that you really have to keep in mind. It's not just the same type of error every single time. There are so many different types of errors that exist, and it's really important to constantly ask your question. Okay, if it's not this, and I fixed that, I already, went through that and I tried that. Let's try something else. Are there extra spaces? Is the formatting wonky? Things like that. It's really important to kind of catch. I will say when it comes to errors, if you do have kind of basically, let's say you have a cell that has a formula in it and you're utilizing another cell that's referencing that formula for another formula. So you're basically referencing a cell that has a formula, right? You want to use if error as a formula. So whatever your formula is, always put if error at the beginning and then obviously close it off at the end. That will kind of give you some reassurance and security when it comes to kind of utilizing multiple formulas that reference, because that's one thing I noticed with formulas and errors is that if you have an error, sometimes it's literally as simple as you not having that if error in place, and then obviously you're having issues with those cells that the formula is referencing. So I could talk all day about formula errors because there's a lot to learn there and a lot to understand, but in general, that's just kind of my tip on formulas and their errors. The next thing I want to talk about, and I've started doing this over time, and this has been a game changer for me, is keep track of how you build things in Excel and use them as a template. So if you are like a report builder or really whatever you're doing in Excel, it could be a tracker for whatever, it could be a project management tracker or something like that. Saving your document as a template so you can use it as almost like a starting point moving forward is a great way to really kickstart your skill set with Excel, because one, if you ever, want to look for a job that asks, kind of what you've developed in Excel or things like that, you can reference it, as long as obviously there's nothing like proprietary, in that template. And also it's great because if you have a project, and let's say you do a project, this happens to me a lot where I'll do like 30 different projects in the year, right? And there's one that I did in January that maybe I've only done that type of project one time. And I don't know where I saved that project, but when I get another project, it reminds me of that project, and I don't know where that template is. It's like you're basically starting from square one. You're trying to touch up on skills that you haven't utilized for a year. So what I like to do, and this is more so like of an organization tip, after I finish a project, or if I want to save a template, I'll, put a folder on my desktop or on my OneDrive, and then I'll drop all of my Excel workbooks that I've developed into that location. So I will always have a solid like hub of where anything I've developed lives, so I can always reference it. It's really helpful too on calls if you're in consulting or anything kind of in that space where you kind of have a lot of different sort of projects and there's a lot of variety. It's great to honestly show people those too. Like, is this what you're looking for? Or would you like something more like this? So like I said, more of an organization tip, but I wish someone would have told me that at the beginning, because I didn't realize over time, like a lot of this stuff is very pattern based. The more you have to reference as far as what you've done in the past, it's a lot easier to kind of get back into that muscle memory as well. Number 4 is nested functions are your friend. So this took me a really long time to understand that you can use a formula inside of a formula in the same cell. So you can put two formulas together. You can do basically put in a cell and then do equal sign one of your formulas and then do an and symbol and then do the other formula. Or you can do something called a nested function, which is literally basically typing a function in, and then when you're referencing another cell, you have a formula inside of that. So hopefully that makes sense, but it's basically having a formula inside of the first formula versus what I said before, which was like a formula and a formula. So that was a game changer for me, because if you're new to Excel, and I honestly still do this on some of my reports, but let's say like, for example, you have, let's say you have like, what's a good example? Okay, let's say you have like a city name and then you have, like the state, right? Let's say you want to get, I'm trying to think, I should have thought about this earlier, but let's say you just want to get the state out of it, and then you want to get the state acronym out of it. So you can do a formula instead of having like two different columns where you're doing like, okay, let's say it says Sarasota, Florida, right? You want it to just show FL instead of Sarasota, Florida. So you're going to do a formula within the other one that basically pulls Florida out of that cell and then changes the Florida to FL instead. So that's an example of a nested formula. Instead of having to do like, okay, I'm going to put one formula in this cell right next to it, and then the next column next to it is going to be FL, you can combine those formulas into one cell, which takes up less space in your Excel file and is just more clean to deal with, if you ever have to change the formula. So yeah, it's really fun to like play around with nested formulas and also just combining formulas in the same, Excel cell. And like I said, the opportunities are endless with this. Like whatever you want to do, combine it if you can. It makes, like I said, the update process more seamless and reduces your file size, of course. So I would recommend that. And then the last thing, this really is a huge part of Excel, and I really want to emphasize this. You will never learn everything, and that's okay. So just not to dig super into my background, but when I started Excel, I remember like how overwhelmed I was. I played with Excel, a little bit in college, of course, like getting my business degree, and I did not like that class at all because it was so structured and it was really hard to kind of pick up on what I was supposed to do. And I was really overwhelmed when I first got my job in Excel because I'm like, I hope it's not like that class. I hope it's not going to be anything crazy. And honestly, it kind of was overwhelming, of course, and there was a lot of long hours that I spent kind of learning and trying to understand like what Excel was all about. And honestly, you just have a lot of aha moments like throughout the time that you spend with Excel. Everyone takes their own time to learn it. So it really is just, there's really no one size fits all. It's not like if I dedicate 40 hours a week, I'm going to be able to understand the same level of detail as someone else in Excel. And I think there's freedom in that because it's not definitive of how long it will take you to learn something. I think it just really depends on how your brain works and kind of how you're wanting to use Excel. So I guess the biggest thing with that is just be patient. Like, don't feel discouraged by not understanding things right away, because I've been using Excel for 4 years now, professionally. And oh my gosh, when I started, it was like, wait, I can add this cell and this cell together to show whatever that number was, it was like, that was my level of knowledge. And now it's like, I can build a report in an hour and, have it reference like, 4 different data sources. So it takes a lot of time to learn stuff. I still feel like I'm a beginner in a lot of ways because my skill set is very niche down into like report development and things like that, but it can be learned. And I just want to make sure that I'm emphasizing how important it is to be kind to yourself, be patient, understand that it's not like if you put 20 hours in, you're going to know all this stuff. And it could also go the other way where like it takes 20 hours for someone to learn what you were able to learn in 5 hours. So I think, you just have to be gracious with yourself and kind and also motivated. Like, to learn Excel, you really do have to be self-motivated to understand how to use everything, and having a natural curiosity with that is really, really helpful. So if you like computers, you like understanding how to automate things, like Excel is such a great tool. Also, as an artist outside of my job, I really love playing with colors and formatting and stuff like that. So if you like that stuff, like Excel is such a cool tool to kind of combine both the business aspect and also the creative aspect. So like I said, the opportunities are endless with that. But that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Hopefully you guys find that helpful. I'm hoping some of these obviously resonated with you, because I just was thinking a lot about it recently that I love Excel. I love using it in my job, but that's not how I started. I really was like, I don't know if I can do this long term. I don't know if I'm going to like it. And I'm so glad I stuck it out because I love what I do. I love being able to share that knowledge with other people. And going to work every day and spending 8 hours in Excel, I love. And other people are like, how can you love that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I do. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or thoughts relevant to obviously what I covered in the video, let me know. And as usual, if you have any suggestions of different types of help you need in Excel, I'm not an expert by any means. I would say I'm more beginner and a little bit on the intermediate side, but I like teaching beginner stuff. So if you're brand new to Excel and you just need help with certain things, feel free to message me below and I will make a video for you. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far, and I hope to see you back here again sometime. Thanks. Bye.